Hi students, welcome to this lecture 5 on moving charges and magnetism. So in this lecture we will learn about the force between the two parallel long straight conductors carrying current. This derivation is quite important. Also we will learn about the torque on a current loop in a uniform magnetic field, and also we will learn about the magnetic dipole moment. Now coming to this force between two parallel long conductors carrying current. Now just see that in the diagram, you just see that there are two conductors carrying the currents I1 and I2. In this case they are separated by a distance A, and these two conductors carrying the currents I1 and I2 will experience the force, and the force experienced per unit length is given by the equation mu naught divided by 2 pi a into I1 I2. So that is the equation that we have to arrive at, and straight away we will start the derivation, learning the derivation. Very simple. Here you consider the two conductors P and Q. The two conductors are separated by a distance D, and they are carrying the currents I1 and I2. So these are the this is the introduction. So consider two long straight parallel conductors, infinitely long, two long straight parallel conductors carrying the currents I1 and I2 separated by a distance D. The two conductors are P and Q. So now we'll go one by one. See that this conductor P is carrying the current I1. The conductor P is carrying the current I1, and therefore there will be a magnetic field in the region surrounding the conductor. Similarly, the conductor Q is also carrying the current I2, and therefore there will be a magnetic field produced by the conductor Q carrying the current I2 in the region surrounding the conductor, which means there are two conductors carrying the currents I1 and I2, therefore there are two magnetic fields. Now coming to this, the magnetic field in the region of the conductor Q due to the conductor P. I repeat, the magnetic field in the vicinity of the conductor Q or at the site of the conductor Q due to the conductor P carrying the current I1. That means B1, we are speaking of B1 here. Please understand, B1 is the magnetic field near the second conductor, but due to the first conductor carrying the current I1. So what is B1? B1 is the magnetic field produced at the site of the second conductor Q due to the conductor P carrying the current I1. That is B1, remember. So I think now you got the clarity. You can apply the Fleming's right hand grip rule. The conductor is carrying the current from the bottom to the top, and therefore the magnetic field is applied, produced inwards. B1 is perpendicular and inwards to the plane of the paper. B1 is perpendicular and inwards. So I repeat again, B1 is the magnetic field due to the conductor P carrying the current I1 at the site of the conductor Q, at the site in the region of the conductor Q. So that B1, as we know, it is equal to mu naught divided by 4 pi to I1 divided by D. B is equal to mu naught I divided by 2 pi D. This derivation we have done using Ampere's circuital law. So perpendicular and inwards. This is perpendicular and inwards. Now coming to this. Now what is happening? Here there is a magnetic field B1, and the current I2 is flowing through the conductor Q. Therefore now we have a conductor Q carrying the current kept in the magnetic field. A conductor carrying the current kept in the magnetic field will experience the force, and the force experienced by the conductor carrying current kept in the magnetic field is given by F is equal to ILB sin theta. The force experienced by the conductor carrying the current kept in the magnetic field is given by ILB sin theta. Now the force experienced by this conductor Q, the force experienced by the conductor Q is F1, and that F1 is equal to I2. Why I2? Because the conductor is carrying the current I2 into L. L is the length of the conductor. B1. Why B1? B1 is the magnetic field in which the conductor Q is present with. So therefore I2 L B1 sin theta, where theta is the angle between the conductor and the magnetic field. In this case it is equal to 90 because it is perpendicular and inwards. Therefore the angle between the current carrying conductor, that is Q, and this one B1, that is right angles to each other, theta is 90. Therefore the force experienced is given by F1 is equal to I2. Why I have taken I2? Because I2 is the current carried by the conductor Q, and L is the length. B1. Why B1? Because the conductor Q is in the magnetic field of B1. So the force experienced by conductor Q is equal to F1. F1 is equal to ILB sin theta. I is I2, L is L only, B is B1 sin theta, theta is 90. Therefore we get this F1. So what is F1 now? Substitute I2, L and L. For B1 you substitute here. B1 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 I1 divided by D. If you rearrange this equation, you will get mu naught by 4 pi 2 times I1 I2 into divided by D into L. This is the force experienced by the conductor Q, and it is towards the conductor P. And this force you will get using the Fleming's left hand rule. Apply the Fleming's left hand rule and you will get the direction of the force, because you know that Fleming's left hand rule, according to Fleming's left hand rule, the forefinger represents the direction of the magnetic field, the middle finger represents the direction of the current, and the thumb represents the direction of the magnetic field, force. So therefore the force is towards the conductor P. That is one thing. So I repeat again, see that in the region of the conductor Q, there is a magnetic field produced due to the conductor P, due to the current carrying conductor P, and that magnetic field is B1. Therefore now the conductor Q is carrying the current I2 and it is kept in the magnetic field B1, and therefore this conductor 2 will experience the force F1, and that force is given by this equation. Similarly, notice that in the region of the conductor P, there is a magnetic field B2, and that magnetic field B2 is produced due to the conductor Q carrying the current I2. So there is a magnetic field in the region P due to the second conductor, that is conductor Q, and that magnetic field we call it as B2, which is perpendicular and outwards. The magnetic field is perpendicular and outwards. And now notice that the conductor P is carrying the current I1 and it is placed in the magnetic field B2. Therefore this conductor P also will experience the force, and this force is F2. F2, same formula, F2 is equal to I1 LB. F2 is equal to I1 LB. Same. Theta here again is equal to 90. Theta means angle between B2 and the conductor P, and that is equal to 90 degrees. So therefore the magnetic field is mu naught by 4 pi 2 I2 divided by D, and the force is equal to F2. I1 we are supposed to take. F2 is equal to I1 because the current is I1. L B2 sin theta, theta is 90. So F2. If you simplify, substitute, you will get the same equation. F2 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 I1 I2 divided by D into L. So F2. F2 is acting towards the conductor Q. So F1 is towards the conductor P, F2 is towards the conductor Q, and both the forces are equal and opposite. Remember this, okay? So now having learned this, notice that from equations 1 and 2 it is found that F1 of conductor P and F2 of conductor Q are equal and opposite. So let us call that as F. So F1 is equal to F2, that is equal to F. So F is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 I1 I2 divided by D. F is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 I1 I2 divided by D. So the force into L is there, into L will be there here. So the force per unit length if you consider, then F divided by L, this into L should be there here. So F divided by L, which is nothing but force per unit length, is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 2 I1 I2 divided by d. If you cut this 2 and 4, you will get mu naught divided by 2 pi I1 I2 divided by d. Mu naught divided by 2 pi I1 I2 divided by d. This is the expression for the force per unit length between the two long straight parallel conductors carrying the current. This is the force between the two long straight parallel conductors carrying the current. F divided by L is equal to mu naught divided by 2 pi I1 into I2 divided by d, where I1 and I2 are the currents in each of the conductors and d is the distance, perpendicular distance between the two conductors. So that is the force per unit length. You just remember this. It is very simple derivation, I believe. Now moving on further, definition of ampere. So if you want to find out the ampere, what is that? You know this equation, F divided by L is equal to mu naught I1 I2 divided by 2 pi A or 2 pi D, whatever. If D is the distance, you should call it as 2 pi D. Here if you make I1 is equal to I2 is equal to 1 ampere and the distance between the two conductors is equal to 1 meter, then what happens? In the place of mu naught, you can substitute 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7. That is the value of mu naught. I1 is 1, I2 is 1 and 2 pi as it is, and A 1 meter. If you calculate this, pi and pi goes 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 remains, and force per unit length will be equal to 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 Newton per meter. So now we'll go in the reverse order. If the force is equal to 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 Newton per meter, then the current flowing through both the conductors is 1 ampere if they are separated by a distance of 1 meter. So what is an ampere? Ampere is the current maintained in each of the two long straight parallel conductors of negligible cross section placed 1 meter apart in air, so that they experience a force of 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 Newton per meter length. That is the definition for this is the definition for the SI unit of current. So define current, define ampere will be the question. If the question is asked define ampere, 1 ampere is that current flowing through two identical conductors, long straight parallel conductors separated by a distance of 1 meter, experiences the force per unit length of 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 Newton per meter. 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 Newton per meter. This is the definition of ampere. Please listen properly. Again I'll take back to this diagram. Check this if you want. Yes, here this is the conductor, if I1 is 1 ampere, if I2 is 1 ampere, if the distance between the two conductors is equal to 1 meter, then the force per unit length will be equal to 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 Newton per meter. That's it, force per unit length. Here suppose if I1 is 1 ampere, I2 is 1 ampere, this D is equal to 1 meter, then the force per unit length between the two conductors will be equal to 2 into 10 to the power minus 7 Newton per meter. So that is the definition of the SI unit of current. Okay, so now coming back, see that next one, suppose if the two conductors are carrying the currents in the same direction, they attract each other, because you know that the forces are equal and opposite, they attract each other if the currents are flowing in the same direction. If the currents in both the conductors P and Q are flowing in the same direction, they attract each other. If the currents are in the opposite direction, they repel each other. Remember this, that should be the important thing. Now coming to the another important derivation here, torque on a loop, current loop, torque on a current loop kept in a magnetic field. Here we have got the current loop. Notice that P, Q, R, S. PQRS is a current loop, and this current loop, it is carrying the current I is the current flowing through this one. If the current is flowing through this one, there is and this current loop, the current carrying loop is kept in a magnetic field B. And here N is the N, this dotted line represents the normal drawn to the coil, normal drawn to the loop, normal drawn to the normal to the loop and the magnetic field makes an angle theta. Remember, normal to the loop and the magnetic field makes an angle theta. So here this PQ, or this represents the length of the conductor, this represents the length of the conductor, and this represents the breadth of the conductor. Length into breadth gives you area. Now we have to arrive at this equation called tau, torque. Torque is equal to mb sin theta. M is the magnetic dipole moment and b is the magnetic field. Theta is the angle between the magnetic field and the normal drawn to the loop, normal drawn to the current loop. So we will try and arrive at the equation for the magnetic field, equation for the torque acting on the loop. Now let us go for this derivation. Now again same loop we have considered, only slight changes are there. Here the current is going downwards, that's it, the current is going downwards. Now P, Q, R, S. Please listen properly, very clearly. This is an important derivation and slight confusions will be there as far as the directions are concerned. If you really focus, concentrate and listen, definitely you will understand. Otherwise nothing goes into your head. That is, for the God's sake, please concentrate and listen properly. See, consider a rectangular loop PQRS. PQRS is the rectangular loop. Here PQ represents the length of the loop, QR represents the breadth of the loop. Let the length of the loop be L. L is the length of the loop and small b represents the breadth of the loop. Okay, PQRS. It is kept in a uniform magnetic field B. See that there is a magnetic field in this direction. See, notice that magnetic field is in this direction. Magnetic field is there. Okay, imagine there is a magnetic field B and this loop is carrying the current I. The loop is carrying the current I. Consider a rectangular loop PQRS kept in a uniform magnetic field B carrying the current I, and the angle between normal to the loop and the magnetic field. See here, see, notice here, this is the magnetic field and this is the normal. Angle between the normal to the loop here, normal to the loop and the magnetic field, normal to the loop and the normal means, you know that, perpendicular line. Normal to the loop and the magnetic field is theta. Theta is the angle between normal to the loop and the magnetic field. Remember this very clearly, remember this. Now see that we will start with one side, QR. See that, suppose force acting on QR, if you consider QR is carrying the current, also there is a magnetic field. QR part of the loop is carrying the current and there is a magnetic field also, there is a magnetic field also. So QR is carrying the current I, it is kept in a magnetic field B and therefore it will experience the force. The force experienced by QR, we will call it as F1. F1 is equal to, F is equal to I L B, I into L cross B, you know that, I into L cross B, I into L cross B. So ILB sin theta actually, ILB sin theta. In the place of L, that is the length, I have taken QR. QR is nothing but breadth. I have taken B here. B is equal to the length of the QR part of the conductor. Okay. So IB, capital B, sin 90 minus theta. Why sin 90 minus theta? Understand that the angle between the conductor carrying the current and the magnetic field is 90 minus theta, in this case 90 minus theta. So what actually theta, I mean what actually this QR into B, QRB is equal to QRB sin theta, where angle, where theta is the angle between QR and B. So in this case QR and B makes an angle 90 minus theta. See here, angle between this line magnetic field and QR is 90 minus theta, therefore we have taken 90 minus theta. So therefore the force is equal to I B sin 90 minus theta, which is equal to cos theta, and this force is directed downward in the plane of the paper along the axis of the loop. That means F1 is along the axis of the loop. If you want to find out the direction, apply Fleming's left hand rule. According to Fleming's left hand rule, point the forefinger in the direction of the magnetic field and point the middle finger in the direction of the current, and therefore thumb represents the direction of the force. In this case, the force is along the axis downwards, along the axis and downwards. So that is one important thing. Remember, see here, what you have to understand here is this: F is equal to ILB sin theta, where theta is in the case of force, I am telling, theta is the angle between L and B. Here the angle between QR and B is 90 minus theta, because we have called this as theta. Angle between B and normal, we have called it as theta, and therefore what the required angle will be 90 minus theta. Okay. Now similarly, force acting on this SP part of the conductor. If you consider the SP part of the conductor, now notice that the current is flowing from S to P. The direction of length, I have told you, the direction of length should be the direction of the current. So therefore SP. What is the angle between SP and B in this case? What is the angle between SP and B? It will be 90. This normal and SP makes an angle 90 degrees. Normal, this line normal, and SP, this line normal and SP makes an angle 90 degrees, and there is an angle theta between N and B. Therefore the angle between B and SP is 90 plus theta, and therefore see that the angle now will be 90 plus theta. SP is also equal to B only, breadth of the coil. Therefore we get IBB sin 90 plus theta, which is again cos theta, IBB cos theta. So this force is acting upwards along the plane of the paper. Now get back to this diagram to understand. This force F2 is acting upwards. So what is F2? F2 is equal to IBB cos theta. F1 is equal to IBB cos theta. Both the forces are equal and they are acting in the opposite direction. Therefore, these two forces acting on QR and SP will cancel out each other, because they are equal and opposite. The two forces, they are equal, opposite, and they are acting along the same line. Therefore the two forces will cancel out. They are equal, opposite, and the third thing is they are acting along the same line. Therefore they cancel out. Now we are left out with the force experienced by RS and PQ part of the conductor, because QR part and SP part of the conductors will experience the force, but the net force experienced by these two parts of the conductor will be equal to 0, because the two forces are equal and opposite. Also they are acting along the same line. So now we have to calculate F3 and F4. Now notice, dear students, the loop is carrying the current. From P to Q. The current is going downwards, and here the magnetic field is in this direction. What is the angle between PQ, that is this part of the conductor, and the magnetic field? It is 90 degrees. Because it is 90 degrees, the conductor will experience maximum force, and that force is equal to F is equal to ILB. Here I have to take L only, because PQ represents the length of the conductor. So ILB sin 90 is 1, ILB. Therefore F3 is equal to ILB. F3 is equal to I. L is the length of the conductor, B is the magnetic field. ILB sin 90 is 1, ILB, and that force is acting perpendicular to this plane of the loop and outwards. And very similarly, since the current is going in this direction, R to S, for the same reason, the angle between the current carrying conductor, that is RS, and B is 90 degrees. Therefore it also experiences the force which is equal to ILB. I is the current, L is the length, B is the magnetic field. ILB sin 90 is 1, but the direction is perpendicular and inwards. The two forces are equal and opposite, but the line of action is different. See that one force is acting here on the left side of the loop, the other force is acting on the right side of the loop, and the two forces are equal and opposite. Net force is anyhow 0, but the torque is not 0, because this force is acting upwards and this force is acting downwards. These two forces makes the loop to rotate, makes the loop to turn. so therefore the torque will act on it. So the torque is contributed by two forces F3 and F4. The two forces are equal and opposite, and they are separated by some distance. So two equal and opposite forces separated by a small distance constitutes couple, constitutes torque. Here F1 and F2 are also two equal and opposite forces, but they are acting along the same line. Here they are not acting along the same line. Line of action is different. Line of action of F3 and line of action of F4, they are separated by some perpendicular distance. There is some perpendicular distance between the two forces. Here there is no perpendicular distance between the two forces. F1 and F2, they are acting along the same line. Here F3 and F4, they are acting on different lines of action. The point of action of the two forces are different. So therefore, remember now, I repeat, F1 is the force experienced by QR, and that force is equal to IBB cos theta. And F2 is the force experienced by SP, and that is equal to IBB cos theta again. The two forces are equal, opposite, and acting along the same line, therefore they cancel out each other. That means the force cancel out and there is no torque also, because they are acting along the same line. There is no torque. And for the torque to act on the coil, there should be two equal and opposite forces acting at different points. Two equal and opposite forces acting at two different points, then only there will be a torque or the couple. So remember that. Now that is F1 and F2 cancel out each other. F3 and F4 remains. F3 is acting perpendicular and outwards, perpendicular to the plane of the loop and outwards. F4 is acting perpendicular to the plane of the loop and inwards. Both the forces are equal and opposite, but the line of action is different. Now the forces are ILB sin 90, ILB, the two forces. So therefore, coming to the torque, notice this one, dear students. F3 and F4 acts on the sides PQ and RS. They are equal and opposite and having different lines of action, so they constitute a couple. This effect is called torque. So what is torque? Torque on the loop is equal to any one of the force into arm or the couple, arm of the couple, that is perpendicular distance between the two forces. Now torque on the loop is equal to one of the force, any one of the force, into perpendicular distance between the two forces. Okay, so any one of the force, when I consider any one of the force, you will get ILB. ILB is one of the force, and into perpendicular distance. To calculate the perpendicular distance, check this here. At one side P, there is one force acting perpendicular and outwards, and at another side S, there is one more force acting perpendicular and outwards. So therefore the perpendicular distance between P and S is given by this ST. ST represents the perpendicular distance. Please remember, ST represents at the point S, there is one force acting perpendicular and inwards. At the point P and T, because they are along the same line, P and T, there is one force acting perpendicular and outwards. So therefore the perpendicular distance between the two forces, that is F3 and F4, F3 is acting on this line, perpendicular and outwards. F3 is acting at the point S, say, perpendicular and inwards. Therefore perpendicular distance between the two forces is ST. ST is the perpendicular distance. What is sin theta? Sin theta is opposite by hypotenuse. Opposite by hypotenuse. So opposite is ST and hypotenuse is SB. So therefore what we need is ST. So ST is equal to SB sin theta. SP sin theta. SP represents the breadth of the coil. That is, SP represents the breadth of the coil. Therefore you will get B sin theta, small b sin theta. B is the breadth, theta is the angle. So here theta is the angle between the normal to the coil and the magnetic field. Theta is the angle between the normal to the coil and the magnetic field. So therefore the perpendicular distance is equal to B sin theta. So coming to this diagram, see that one of the force into perpendicular distance, the perpendicular distance ST is equal to B sin theta. Remember this, ST is equal to B sin theta. Suppose if I substitute for torque, torque on the loop is equal to one of the force. What is one of the force? ILB. I write ILB here, and the perpendicular distance at, or it is the arm, couple arm, is equal to b sin theta. ILB b sin theta. Here length into breadth gives you the area of the coil. Length into breadth, this is small b, dear students, this is small b. So length into breadth gives you the area of the coil. Therefore tau is equal to I A B sin theta, where A represents the length into breadth, the area of the coil. For n number of turns, multiply by n, NB IA sin theta. Tau, the torque, is equal to NB IA sin theta. That is the torque. So I hope it is understood very clearly. The torque acting on the couple is equal to NIAB sin theta. N is the number of turns, I is the area, and B is the magnetic field. Theta is the, you know that, theta is the angle between the normal to the coil and the magnetic field. Theta is the angle between normal to the coil and the magnetic field. Say that if this is the coil, if this is the coil, and normal to the coil, this normal to the coil is always perpendicular to the surface, perpendicular, normal to the coil and the magnetic field. So that is theta. Suppose if theta is 90 degrees, then the torque is maximum. If theta is equal to 0, what do you mean by theta is equal to 0? Theta is equal to 0 means the coil is kept in the plane of the magnetic field. The plane of the coil and the magnetic field both are same, both are parallel to each other. So if you can understand that, coil is kept in the magnetic field. If the coil is kept in the magnetic field, if the coil is kept parallel to the magnetic field, please remember, if the coil is kept parallel to the magnetic field, then the value of theta is equal to 0. If theta is 0, then the loop, I mean the torque is equal to 0. If the coil is kept perpendicular to the magnetic field, if the coil is kept perpendicular to the magnetic field, then theta is 90. Theta is 90. If theta is 90, then maximum torque it will experience. So please remember here, if the plane of the loop is parallel to the magnetic field, if plane of the loop is parallel to the magnetic field, theta is 90. Plane of the loop is parallel to the magnetic field, theta is 90. If theta is 90, then it will experience maximum torque. If the plane of the loop is perpendicular to the magnetic field, plane of the loop is perpendicular to the magnetic field, then theta is 0, sin 0 is 0, therefore it will experience minimum torque is 0. If alpha is the angle between direction of the magnetic field and plane of the loop, then tau is equal to IAB cos alpha. Here alpha is the angle between the plane of the loop and the magnetic field. So theta is the angle between normal to the loop and the magnetic field, normal to the coil and the magnetic field. So that is the thing. So that is one important thing. Now coming to this magnetic dipole moment. As you all know, magnetic dipole moment is the product of current and area. As we know, electric dipole moment is the product of charge into length of the dipole. P is equal to 2AQ. You know that. P is equal to 2AQ. Here magnetic dipole moment is the product of current and the area vector. Current and the area vector. So A is the area vector directed normal to the plane. M is the direction of the, M is the magnetic moment, that is also normal to the plane. That means the direction of magnetic moment and the direction of the area vector both are same. Direction of magnetic moment, direction of area vector both are same. Now you know the torque on the loop is given by IAB sin theta. In the product of I and A, the product of I and A gives you M. M is the magnetic moment. Product of I into A gives you magnetic moment, MB sin theta. You can recall torque acting on a electric dipole kept in a uniform magnetic field is PE sin theta. PE sin theta. P is the magnetic electric dipole moment, E is the electric field intensity, sin theta. Similarly, here the torque acting on a dipole kept in a uniform electric field is equal to, torque is equal to MB sin theta, where M is the magnetic dipole moment, which is the product of area and current, area vector and current. So the direction of the magnetic moment is same as the direction of the area vector. So vector form is given by m cross b. Tau is equal to m cross b mb sin theta. Here tau is a vector quantity, m is a vector quantity, magnetic field is also vector quantity, magnetic moment is a vector quantity whose direction is along the area vector, and the unit of magnetic moment is ampere meter square, current into area, ampere meter square. So magnetic dipole moment, remember, is the product of current and area, area vector. Always area vector is the direction normal to the surface, and the direction of area vector and the direction of magnetic moment vector both are same. So unit of magnetic moment is ampere meter square, and in terms of magnetic moment you can write the torque is equal to m cross b, like p cross e, m cross b, mb sin theta. So magnetic dipole moment. So we will end up this session, students, and in the next session I'll come with a few more topics. Until then, have a great day. Bye. Okay.